Hello and good evening, everyone. Um, Here's another Wednesday webinar with Fleming. Thank you for joining us today. This session is actually being recorded. We are going to start in a couple of minutes. We're just going to wait a little to see if anyone else wants to join. We're going to start at 6:02. So you guys can actually send your questions or just any response in the chat box here. The presentation is not going to take more than 45 minutes. We're going to leave another 15 minutes towards the end to just answer any questions you might have. But yeah, we're going to start in a few seconds. We're actually wondering where you're coming from. Are you local to Haliburton? Or yeah, if you guys can actually leave your answers in the chat box, we can actually start the convo a little bit earlier and yeah, go from there. Alrighty. Just one more minute. Okay, perfect. So we have, hi Cheryl and Charlene. Peterborough for the Fiber Arts certificate. That's great. Cheryl from Ottawa. Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so we're gonna start the webinar. Again, thanks for everyone. Thank you for joining. Again, the session is gonna be 45 minutes. I'm gonna do a brief introduction for myself. And sorry, Rose, if you would like to go to the next slide, I'm gonna start off. Okay, perfect. So my name is Romina. I'm a student recruitment officer with Fleming College. I'm with Erin Lynch. She is our amazing operations and programming manager at the Haliburton School of Arts and Design. And we also have Rose Pearson today. She is the program coordinator of the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma. I'm going to do a brief bio for Erin and Rose. So Erin Lynch has worked in several different roles with Fleming College over the last 17 years, continuing education faculty, senior studio technologist, and currently the operations and programming manager. She currently oversees the arts certificates, continuing education, and daily operations in Haliburton. And for Rose, Rose is an artist and educator who enjoys living and working in Haliburton County. She receives a BFA majoring in painting and drawing from York University and a BEd from Windsor University, and has worked as an arts educator and artist throughout the last 30 years. Rose is the coordinator of the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma at the Haliburton School of Arts and Design. She also teaches in the VCA diploma as well as in painting and drawing certificate in the HSAT summer school as well. All right, so Rose, if you don't mind going to the next slide, I'm going to do our acknowledgement first. Fleming College respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on the Mississauga lands and the traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. Shimmiigwech to the Mississauga peoples for allowing us to continue our work in your territory. So before we start the presentation, we're going to actually show you a very short video, and we're going to go from there. Rose, good to go for the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
We are not moving. Oh, there we go.
Pick up the vibe, always lit, even outside. Smile on my face, don't kill my high. Never stagnate, just passing by. Can't stay still, don't ask me why. Where to next, let time decide. Me and the world see eye to eye. Life's a journey, enjoy the ride. Get vibey with it. See me on the deck, see live in the mix. Yeah, with the bass one time, let it make the room go crazy, cause we don't miss. I just go with the flow. Pick yourself up if the mood gets low. Sometimes chill, take it slow. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Hit the road. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Chill, take it slow. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Hit the road.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, as everyone could see from the video, as you can tell, our programs are super hands-on. You get lots of hands-on experience no matter what program you choose at Fleming, especially if you want to go for arts and design programs. We actually make sure that you're job ready once you finish the program. So with that, I'm going to actually pass it off to Rose and Erin. You can take over from here.
Thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about first the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma, and we're also going to talk about the certificates and how they can be taken as standalone things, and also how they are the second year of our Visual and Creative Arts Diploma. We'll also talk about articulation agreements that we have with other institutions with our VCAD diploma. We'll also look at some alumni and see what our alumni are doing, and we'll take a look also at our residence that's newly built and just opened this past September. And when we get all through that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those. So the Visual and Creative Arts Foundation courses, so that means it's the first year of the 2-year diploma, happens during 2 semesters. So we have a fall semester followed by a winter semester that are taken in that order. So, so someone signing up for VCAD would start with semester 1, and in that first semester they would take a number of courses. It's a very busy, full schedule. We have a course called Design 1, where you learn the basic elements and principles of design, and it's based on 2-dimensional making. So we do a lot of painting, drawing, mixed media, creating of compositions in that course. We also take a course called Drawing Disciplines, which is based on drawing media and looking at how drawing is used in the world. And so it's more of a course about how do we use drawing and what drawing is for. And we also do our digital course in the first semester, and you can see that the hours allocated to the courses are a little bit all different. So our digital media course is a 30-hour course, and that's in our Mac Lab computer lab at our campus, and so learning about digital design. And our contemporary arts exploration course is looking at what art is being made in our contemporary, our current society. And so that course is a big one, because included in that course is a trip to Toronto, where we go and look at a number of galleries over 2 days. We also take a history course. It's an art history course. It's called The Recent Century, although it sort of quickly looks from, goes from cave art right up to the recent century, but mostly focuses on the 20th century and sort of as a preamble to the contemporary part of the course, of the other course. And as mentioned, the courses at Fleming College has that included are all hands-on courses. So when we have an art history course, there is lecture component, but it's only a portion of what we do. All the art history is taught through projects. So we're making with our hands. We're actually 2 of the 3 hours allocated for a session of art history is lab-based. We also have a course called Media Explorations, and in that course we get exposed to all the different materials there are in the other studios here on campus. So in those certificate courses that we have ceramics, so the students get a day in the ceramic studio on the wheel, they get a day in the glass blowing studio, they get a day making jewelry, they do some printmaking, they do some fiber art, some painting, some drawing. All of that is exposure in that media explorations course. And there's one course in the fall that's media exploration, and if you look at the winter semester, semester 2, you'll see there's a media explorations 2, which is sort of a continuity of that experience. And in both semesters, fall and winter, you'll also see that there's a general education elective. And that is a course that is taken online. It's an asynchronous delivery. And general ed elective courses are one of those things that are mandatory in all kinds of degrees and diplomas. So there's a chance to have a wider perspective on education outside of just your own narrow field of study, in this case, visual arts. So I know some of our students this year were really excited because they were taking a course on birds, and I have a number of really passionate students about birds who've been making bird images in their work, so they've been really enjoying learning more about that. In the winter semester, upon completion of the first semester, so a lot of the courses in the first semester are prerequisite for the second semester. So in the second semester, we do have Design 2. And in that course, again, Design 1, after you've got that sort of language of I'm just going back and thinking I've missed one on the semester 1. Yeah, I have missed one. So sorry, going back to semester 1, I've completely missed 3D design. So along with Design 1, there is 3D design where we learn how to manipulate elements and principles of design using three-dimensional materials like clay, like wire sculpture, so working in the round. So semester 2 is Design 2 is a continuation, and then looking more at design as an applicable to working with a client. So what does it look like when you are tasked with designing for someone else? So that's part of Design 2. Media Explorations, as I said, is a continuation of the first one in the first semester. And then Portfolio Presentation is a course where we learn how to document our work, make really good photographs of it so that we have our portfolio. And we use those documentations in a final talk that we do in the program, a final presentation of our body of work that we've completed in the next course called Concept Development. And in Concept Development, that is our big course of the second semester, and taking all of our learnings that we've had from that first semester and then working through play and exploration with material. We develop work that through the process of what we talk about, looking, thinking, talking, and then making more work, and through that continual cycle that we call the creative process, we end up creating an entire body of work that we edit down and select and exhibit in a final show. So during that second semester, by about February, students have had a chance to explore all the studios in the school, and then they make a decision about how they would like to finish off their diploma. So, and that diploma is completed by specializing in one of those certificates. So that certificate, it is a 2-year diploma, and this is where some folks get confused. It's a 2-year diploma, but that second year is completed in 1 semester, okay? And that 1 semester is equivalent to an entire year. And that's because it's delivered in a very condensed way, okay? Now, I should also say, I know, I think Cheryl and is it Charlene? You said you were here for fiber arts. So you're here just to interest in certificate, which we'll talk about. And we do have students who come and just take the certificate. And we have had students who come and decide that they want to then go the other direction and take the foundation year after the certificate. And that is doable as well. But we always say, if you know for certain that you want to do the diploma, take the foundation year first. It is really, really rich experience to do it that way. And I have to tell you that our faculty who teach in the certificate just love it when they have VCAD students amongst their certificate students. So the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma, this is a shot of one of our students from this year taken at the end of our hallway in the fall. It was a beautiful time of year to be outside and inside, as we often are here. And one of the things to note about not just the VCAD diploma, but also our certificates is that the fee, your tuition fee that you see listed on the web page, also includes a lot of your material kits. For VCAD, it includes almost all of your materials. So you'll get a huge toolbox, wheelie toolbox that is chock full of all the sorts of drawing and painting and you name it tools that you will be using, and as well as our portfolio case, again chock full of paper and sketchbooks and all that good stuff. And in addition to those materials that are in the kit, it also supports classroom supplies for any kind of making that we use at our Center for Making, which is our shop in the school where we have things like 3D printers and laser CNC machines and vinyl cutters and all of that. The student here in the picture is weeding out a piece of vinyl that she's made for, I'm not sure what the purpose is, perhaps a stencil. So, so just to, again, to clarify that the material kit is embedded in the fees. We do encourage the VCAD students to come with maybe an extra $300 just in case, like in the winter semester, you may end up going off in a certain direction that just requires you to have some unique materials and that you're expected to purchase yourself. And I believe with the certificates, a lot of the materials are supplied, but I think there's also will be a list that goes out that has some essential things that you're required to bring from home. So just as a slide of some student work that again shows that we do use a variety of materials from different drawing materials, painting materials, some printmaking. We were printing on tote bags with silkscreen and collaging this past year. And as I said as well, our trip to Toronto is a real highlight of our fall when we head off to Toronto on a bus and we stay overnight in the city, and we always base that trip around when Arts Toronto is on at the big convention center, and it's a chance to see galleries, predominantly Canadian, but also a lot of international galleries, and see a lot of work by contemporary artists. And as I said, the program ends with a large course called Concept Development, where we work intuitively to develop a theme, an idea, a concept out of the work that we've produced. And then we end up presenting that to our peers in a form of a presentation, a talk, an artist talk that we do. And we also install our exhibition in the school. And this year it'll be open to the public, so you would be welcome to come and see that on, help me out, Erin, it's April 18th,
April 18th,
okay,
between 10 and 3 p.m.
Right. And this is a student, our students are setting up now, so this is a student from last year work. I encouraged them to dress in a way that coordinated with their work, so the student really took it on, the challenge. So as much as you may love it here, and our students are very fond of the deer, and they are certainly plentiful, some students have a hard time leaving and end up staying, but ultimately many do go, and I encourage students to think about carrying on with their education elsewhere. So we do have some formal, what we call articulation agreements. So those are forged pathways with other institutions. So if a student were wanting to go on and complete a degree, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, you would definitely need to go to another institution to get that credential. And you could use one of our articulation agreements. And we've also had students who've absolutely forged their own. I always say, go to the coordinator of the institution you're trying to get into and show them your course outlines and see if you can forge your own path. And we've had students successfully do that as well. So if you do look at our website, look up the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma, you'll see on there a list of institutions that we have official agreements with, and you can go and click on each of those, and that will take you to the agreement. So in many cases, you get credit for your first year and are in your second year, but I think it just depends on the pathway that you're taking to determine whether you'd be placed in a first, or in some cases a second or a third year of the program at the institution. And they're all, as I say, they're all unique. But as I say, you can also forge your own pathway, and some of the ones that I can recently speak about is that Bella was a graduate of VCAD, took the drawing and painting certificate, and then I received an email from her asking for a reference letter because she wanted to do the Rome art program. And so she was accepted to do the Rome art program, was in Rome last summer. So it was fun to follow her along her journey on the Rome art program Instagram feed. Had a great time in Italy. And Stephanie Orellana was a VCA graduate who took artist blacksmith as her program of specialization, and then she went to York University and forged a path there and was placed in second year and was also actually offered a scholarship. So is on her journey to completing her Bachelor of Fine Arts. And I think our student who has maybe stayed in school the longest, well, maybe the second longest, is Mona here, who used our program. She couldn't get into a Master's of Fine Arts. They said you need to beef up your portfolio. She came to Haliburton. She took the Visual and Creative Arts Diploma, beefed up that portfolio enough that she could get into a master's program, continued on with a PhD after her master's program, which she completed last June, and is now taking or doing postdoctoral research in the UK. So those are just a few of our graduates who have traveled on. So as I say, that first year is that foundation year. That second year is the certificate, which again can be done in conjunction with VCAT or can be done as a standalone. And to note that it is intensive delivery, meaning it's worth a year worth of credentials, but it's completed in one semester of time. What do I mean by one semester? Well, a semester is 15 weeks, and those 15 weeks have 7 weeks in a row, and then an independent learning week in the middle, and then 7 more weeks of classes. Okay. Now, what's interesting about the certificates is that they are, you take one course per week. So you'll start with a faculty on Monday morning. You'll be with that same faculty all week long, and you will complete one course by the end of Friday. Okay. And then the next week, you pick up with another faculty, start the second course, and work through all that next week.
And there are some common threads with all of the certificates. So one thing that is the same with all the certificates, even though it is diverse in terms of the medium, clay, ceramics, fibers, drawing and painting, glass, is that they all have a marketing and portfolio course, and they all have a drawing course. And the drawing course, both of those courses, yes, that's a common thread in all of their certificates, but they are geared towards that studio. So for example, if you are taking fiber drawing, you're going to be doing drawings that are around fiber, maybe doing some fashion drawing, things like that. If you are doing jewelry, you're going to learn how to do rendering of jewelry pieces. So the same for ceramics. You're drawing ceramic pots. It's not the same. As well with your marketing portfolio courses, it's the same thing. It's how to document ceramics, how to document jewelry. Again, there's different, say, for example, with jewelry, you can often get reflections because of stones and things like that. So you're learning specific skills for those mediums, for those certificates.
Right, good. So those courses each week are 33 hours, and your faculty is with you for that entire day. So 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 3 on Friday. And the studio is open in the evening on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays until 9. So often students will go and take a break for a bit, have dinner, and then come back to really work on anything that's outstanding from the class from that day, and get extra time, extra practice with the access to the equipment that is here.
And on Saturdays too, as well.
Yes, Saturdays
sometime on
as well.
Saturdays.
Okay, so we'll carry on. So Erin, I'll pass for you on to the certificates, and you can let me know when to move it.
Sure. So as I was saying just a bit before, all the certificates do have a common theme. So there's, as Rose said, it's over 15 weeks. It's 14. So there's 14 courses in each certificate. And so in fibers, it's not, although this image has a student and she's doing some sewing and some quilting, that's not the bulk of it. There's all kinds of different things that you're doing. There is dyeing, so you're learning how to dye. There's fiber sculpture. there is pigments and silk screening. There's a variety. It's not just sewing. And if you have never actually used a sewing machine, that's also okay. You can come to any of these certificates as a complete beginner because you actually want to learn and be completely immersed in the studios. Next. Again, with drawing and painting, too, there are 14 courses, and you're learning, and Rose can even talk because
I
as
can
well,
do.
she is a faculty in drawing and painting, but there you are drawing, you are also learning different types of medium. You're working with watercolors, oils, there's as well encaustic, using different materials, whether and tools, palette knives, and as well on using painting on stretch canvases and boards and all kinds of different mediums.
Right. And in each of the courses too, there's an understanding of the history and the contemporary practice of it as well. So I know I teach the art history in the painting and drawing certificate. And so again, it's all hands-on. So we're doing silver point, we're making up paint with egg, and some of the early Middle Ages recipes. So yeah, a real variety of kinds of experiences that we have, a real introduction to many things.
Next. So here we have our certificate, or ceramic certificate. So this is a bit of a shot from one angle of of the ceramic studio. One thing that's great about the ceramic studio is that, or all of the studios, if you can see at the back of this image, there is like a big garage door that opens up, and that actually, which is really, if it's nice weather in the fall or in the spring, you can open that up, and that just opens right up into the sculpture forest. There's a deck that runs along the back. To the right of this image, you can see there's a door that's a kiln room. We have 4 kilns in there, including a test kiln if you're doing glaze tests. Something that you can't see from this image, further to the right, we have a glaze room, and that is for making glazes too. There is a glaze chemistry course where you can learn about making glazes and experimenting with that. Within that course too, they do a raku firing, which happens outside. One thing that is really unique to Haliburton School of Art Design, Fleming College, is that you actually have your own wheel. A lot of art programs, you have to come in, you have your lab, and then you leave. With our programs, you have a designated space. So where these students are sitting, that is their space. That is their wheel that they get to use throughout the program. Next. So here again, this is our jewelry studio, and you can see the same thing. We've got that lovely garage door. We have a to sort of the front right, we have a torch area where all of our jewelry torches are. Every student has a designated bench too. There is all kinds of different things that you are learning. So you can be a complete beginner. You may have never ever picked up a jewelry torch or even picked up any jewelry pliers, and you can start there. You'll learn things, chain making, stone setting, how to fabricate rings from just a sheet of silver. As Rose mentioned too, your fees include your materials. So you get quite a sizable, substantial silver kit that is included. You also use some other base metals like brass and copper. The stone this week right now, jewelry's happening, and they're doing stone setting, and the stones are included with that. So it's quite a variety. You learn how to do a filigree to one thing as well. I did say marketing and portfolio is a common thread. Drawing is a common thread. The other thing that is a common thread is art history. There is an art history course in each certificate, but that is as well around that medium. So it is art history of jewelry, art history of ceramics, art history of fiber, just to give that context.
Mm. Good.
Okay. Next, glass blowing. So we have a glass blowing certificate, and it's the same 14 weeks to, so we have those three common threads: marketing, portfolio, the drawing, and the art history. This is actually one of our texts, and to the left of it you can sort of see the light because he's actually right beside the garage door that is opened up, which often in glass you like to do. It can be it can be happening in the winter time, and people may have sleeveless shirts on because it can get nice and toasty in that class, in that program too. So we have, I believe there's 4 benches. There is, it's quite focused around furnace work. One thing that is great about all of our certificates is that all of our faculty are practicing artists. They're very involved. They're not only faculty, but they have their own practices, whether it's their own studios, or they're showing in different galleries. So that is definitely one thing that is as well. They have an understanding of these mediums. So if you look directly behind this person too, there is a room, and that is a cold working room. So that is when you blow glass too, and you take it. So this tool that he's working on, you will take it off, and there'll be like a little glass sort of nub too. And if you were trying to put that on a table, that's going to fall over. And so what you do is you go to the cold working room, and you essentially are grinding that down to make that flat. So we have a whole area to do that, so people can basically start with the raw materials of glass, form it into a vessel, into an object, and then complete it so that you have a beautiful piece of a cup or something sculptural as well. So yes, there are functional pieces that you do create in glass, but there's also 2 sculptural pieces, and that's reflected in the courses that are offered.
Great.
Next.
Okay, so we'll just speak to some of the alumni that have graduated from Haliburton School of Art and Design. And so I think the record, competing with Mona, who's doing her postdoc work, is Kelsey Redmond, who took every program that we offer. So she was here, I think, for 7 years. Anyway, now she has taken all of her knowledge, and she's opened up a record shop. And so she has, designed the interior space, designed her marketing. My goodness, they come up with some crazy skits on Instagram. Very, very, very fun, taking that love of the visual world and love of the music world and blending those in her career. And that is, yeah.
One
sorry,
thing too, Rose, is the person beside Kelsey is Wendy, who is also a graduate as well, and she works. She does have her own art practice, but she also works part-time for Kelsey, and she did the visual-creative-arts-diploma, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Right, and then she also did, she did a fiber certificate.
Yeah, and I think jewelry as well. Yeah, so. Another alumni is Bethany LeBlanc, and she completed her VCAD actually with fiber certificate. She says, I don't know anything about fiber. I know some things about painting. I'd like to take fiber. But now she's back. She is painting out of Peterborough. And I did note that she had won an Emerging Artists Explore and Create grant as well as a Canada Council for the Arts, through the Canada Council of the Arts. And so that's quite an achievement for Bethany, and that's one of her more recent paintings there. And Shannon Shute and Daniel Wright met in Haliburton in VCAD, I believe, and completed their VCAD with combined drawing and painting, arts blacksmith, and jewelry essentials. And you can go and find their business called Clear Mind Jewelry online. You can see some of their pieces. Also, plenty of sharing in instructional, informative videos as well through their website. So that's pretty neat. And April Gates has remained local as well, came and did the ceramics certificate and opened up her business here that she calls Blackbird Pottery, which has grown to be quite a successful local business, but also she shows beyond Haliburton as well. And here getting ready for her pop-up market, which has become a popular attraction every summer.
Yes, April is actually quite a well-known potter, and a lot of people collect her work nationally. So I would definitely look her up on Instagram.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. She used to be the guest artist in my studio during the studio tour, so it's been fun to watch the evolution of the work that she does. And Scott Walling, alumni as well here, who has opened up his own photo and framing business downtown, as well as an art gallery called The Space that he runs and does all of the marketing for and hosts opening receptions and all that good stuff. So yeah, lovely to see such energy and such entrepreneurial spirit in our graduates. And the most recent thing that came across my desk, and you can see it's recent because it's closing today, was alumni Brianna Godden, who took the drawing and painting certificate. And so she sent me an invite to her first solo show in Belleville. And this is one of the pieces from that exhibition. So always lovely to hear from the students and be involved in those milestones.
And this is just, you just picked a few of the alumni, and there are so many other alumni that are doing some really creative things. As you mentioned, Rose, Kelsey, for example, she has a business, but she is using the skills that she learned across those programs with her business. And there's many other alumni that do those things, those type of things.
Mm-hmm. And now one of the questions we always get is, where do we live when we come to Haliburton? And now we can joyously say that you can live in residence, and it's right across the parking lot. In fact, it's in Glebe Park. So so yeah, newly opened, as I said, this past September. And you can see from this image here, there's a kitchenette with microwave stove, oven, and refrigerator, and a little seating area. There's an external shot of the structure in the parking lot where students can leave their cars. Not all students have cars. There's a lot of car sharing, I believe that happens, and which is lovely and supportive here. And inside, there are rooms that you would share the kitchen with one other person, and you would each have your own separate bedroom. So this is a shot of the bedroom looking at the desk side, which my students tell me, oh my goodness, Rose, it's such a lovely large desk. So really thoughtful in thinking about art students spreading their stuff out as we like to do. So that's that shot. And then if we look from the door to the other angle, we can see that there's a double bed and there's an additional chair, sort of coordinated with our red door up the front of our building. I'm sure thoughtfully selected that way. And the views out the windows, of course, because we are up in Haliburton in the Highlands where there's lots of trees. So, and deer. So we're also situated in, as I said, Glebe Park, which is home to the Haliburton Sculpture Forest, where there are, I've lost count, we might be up to 40 sculptures.
Over 40.
Is it over 40 now?
Mm-hmm.
Exist along the trails within the park. The round structure is one of those sculptures, which is one that you can go into, and it's a lovely space of solitude. And additionally, you can see an exterior shot of the campus in the winter, and when you walk through those red doors, you can also see the view of the Great Hall. And as I say, we are surrounded. The other day, someone said to me, "Do you think the deer's going to class today?" Because she was right at the door, ready to come in. So yeah, very friendly deer. And also just situated in the park, or just sort of adjacent to the park, I guess, we've got the museum. So this was one of the days we went over, and we were doing one of our drawing classes over at the museum, doing some notation sketches of things we observed there, inside and outside. And yeah, as far as those who are outdoors enthusiasts, there are fabulous Nordic ski trails through the park. So I keep my skis in my car all winter,
So do
and
I.
and as well as snowshoeing trails. And then, of course, when the snow melts, you can certainly walk and cycle through those trails too.
And we
So
have, and
yeah.
we do have snowshoes that students can sign out. And we do have students, if they bring their own skis or they want to rent skis, we do have free ski passes that students can use.
Yeah, the Nordic Club's very generous with giving those to us. Okay. So I think that ends the thought out things that we have to say, but I'm sure there's things that maybe we missed, or that you have questions that you might want to ask, and we'd be happy to field those.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rose and Erin. That was so informative. I personally also want to do one of the certificates now. That was
Me too.
amazing. Yeah, that was so informative. Okay, yeah, we'll leave that right on time too. So perfect. So yeah, we'll leave a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer those.
That's fantastic. And I forgot to introduce myself earlier. My name's Matt Thompson. A lot of you on this webinar probably received an invite from me, and so welcome. I felt like I was inundating everybody with information on certificate programs, but we constantly hear about how you take one and you just keep taking more and more. So I felt, even if you were looking at one of the individual certificates, checking everything out and exploring VCAT as an option as well. Charlene does have a question, just an overview of accepting an offer, please. It's a fantastic question. I'm going to share actually another webinar that we recently did, where in there I walked everybody through on how to accept an offer, where to look on how to accept an offer. But you would just go back and visit the ontariocolleges.ca portal where you actually applied. And on your dashboard, if you scroll down, there's a section there for offers, and you'll see your offer there. And then you select confirm. It asks you again if you want to confirm, and then you select yes. And then that will send your confirmation over to us, and then we can start that process of sending you further instructions. But I'll include that in just a moment here.
I know that a question that sometimes people have asked before. Oh, there is a question. Okay, so that question was about what types of, sorry.
Yeah, can you kindly expand on what types of fiber arts are taught? For example, does it include weaving, macrame,
Yes.
crochet, knitting,
Yes.
etc.?
Yes,
Oh,
so
Cheryl, that's
definitely
okay. Interrupt us. Interrupt us away.
all of those. So it includes all of those and more, including felting, wet felting, dry felting, embroidery, just trying to think of what else. Needle punching, tapestry. I'm trying to think of anything else. To obviously sewing, garment making, like learning how to create patterns. I think that is it, which is quite quite extensive.
There's a bit of quilting too, I think, blocking
Yes,
things,
quilting.
piecing things
Yes,
together,
quilting.
2D and 3D, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And feel free to interrupt, but I did start to say, what was I going to say? That
A common question?
a common question. What was that common question that I was, yes, portfolio. Do you
right.
need to have a portfolio if you are coming? And the answer is no, you don't. And it is actually a great opportunity. Rose talked about the one student, I think it was, I'm trying to remember her name, that is now a postdoctorate student who actually used Fleming as an opportunity for building their portfolio for continuing on. So it's a great opportunity for doing that, but that is not a prerequisite for taking either the VCAD program or any other certificates. That is a common question that we do get from people.
That's excellent. Yeah, we get that question a lot from students in terms of what's required outside of the regular admission requirements in order to take that. So it's good to provide that clarity.
And just also knowing that you don't have to have any experience in the medium. You've never picked up a sewing machine, that's fine. That's where you're coming to learn that. But you can also have experience in a sewing machine, and that's also okay too. That's just going to allow you to work at a different level. So if you have some experience or you are coming as a complete beginner, our faculty are able to adjust to that learning style. It's the same with all their certificates. If you've never even been on a wheel, or you've actually have a bit of a studio practice already, but you just want to be able to have a concentrated time to really focus on that on that craft. It's the same with glass blowing. People that have never even been in a glass blowing studio come, or people that have tried maybe taking a weekend workshop. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Yeah,
we've
I
had
think.
mature. Sorry, go.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rose. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we do have, particularly in the certificates, quite a range of ages as well. I think one of my fondest weeks teaching was in the drawing and painting certificate when we had someone in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up to 70s, all in one classroom. So we get a huge range. And as I say, folks who've never really used the medium before or worked with the medium before, to those who, like a fiber artist, who is a weaver and a painter, took the fiber certificate again just to expand their knowledge of the medium, to broaden their own practice. So we get a lot of that kind of range of ages as well as experience. But most of all, we just ask that you come with a great deal of curiosity and openness to learning. Those are the key, I think, to having a good experience.
That's great, Rose, and I think that segues perfectly into Cheryl's question about how to prepare, and maybe the curiosity answer stands in that. But she's asking, for those of us taking just the certificate, would you recommend that we read any textbooks beforehand, and then in brackets, so we're caught up with the second year or the 2-year students?
Yeah. Well, I would just say that sometimes you can be in a certificate and you may only have one VCAD student, and so it's not, you don't have to worry that there is anything that you really need to catch up on. And I would echo what Rose is has said, is that you just come with an open mind and an open heart to learning, and to be ready for that extensive immersive experience. And then depending upon with your projects, sort of what direction you're going during that time in the certificate, we can suggest different, or your faculty will suggest different different artists or different things to look up and to read.
Perfect. And Bronwyn is asking, and I feel like all of that advice is still applicable. What would be your biggest advice for someone that you'd want to know if they're looking at taking one of those intensive certificate programs?
Well, I would say that be ready to take advantage of the studio time, and that as what we were talking about, the certificates, and even in terms of there is that access even for VCAD students, is having that studio time at night, and there's some time on Saturdays. Often that people, once they graduate, they're not going to have access to, as whether depending upon what medium you're in, if you're in a fibers, to have a dye kitchen that you can access and use, or in a ceramic studio where you're going to have all of the equipment, the materials, to have that access. So I would say be ready to use that time and take advantage of the amazing opportunities that we have.
Yeah, I would echo that. They are intensive delivery. You're getting a year's worth of credit in one semester. So you're going to jump in, and you're going to really swim hard and enjoy it. Okay, so you just clear the decks and do it. So you will be fully immersed in making, and so I guess I would say be prepared for that full immersion in making, which can be a big transition from someone if you haven't been making solidly, right? But I always found that a transition to going back to school after not being in school is always a bit of a 1 week shift of, okay, I need to get into the groove of this. But I had an inquiry the other day about, can I work part-time while going to school? And my answer is probably not in a certificate, like unless you're going to pick up a Saturday job. But you're in class all day, and then there's enough work that you'll be researching and still making in the evening. So you're just fully engaged in that certificate for those full 15 weeks.
Perfect. I was going to say my biggest piece of advice, and from what I've heard, is be prepared to want to take another certificate. And be aware that it might not just be those 15 weeks; it might be more than that, which is a great outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I also wanted to make mention that we are hosting our open house at the Haliburton campus on April 11th. Our lovely Haliburton staff are going to be busy between the open house and then the student showcase the weekend after. So definitely a busy couple of weekends. But talking about workshops and all of that, we are going to be running a workshop where you can create a fabric brooch in Studio 1 there, and you can register for that at open house at the registration desk. Erin, I don't know if you want to provide a little bit of background on the person running that workshop.
Sure, I can say so. It's Andrea Lee. She is a alumni. She was a mature student. She was an alumni. She has actually a marketing background, and she is a fantastic artist too. We're really excited. So it is going to be a fabric brooch. Can be sort of a floral with some felting and some fabric. People will. It's an hour workshop. It's happening at noon. People will be able to create something and bring that home. So it's a great opportunity. Come to the campus. We'll give you a tour, sign up, and then you can take a little mini workshop with one of our alumni who can also talk a little bit about her own experience of being a student here.
And she's currently teaching in Con Ed as
Yeah,
well,
she
right?
is. Yes, she
Perfect.
is. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's happening at noon. So make sure you get there early so you get all your tours in and everything like that, and you can check out the residence. And that's one thing I really like about our residence as well, and now offering it at Haliburton recently, is the privacy that you get, right? And being able to, yes, have the shared kitchen, but your own room that locks, and you can keep your valuables in that room, and you don't have to worry about sharing, and your bed is next to somebody else's, right? And a huge benefit, and we'll be touring those residence suites as well.
Yeah, and I think one last thing I wanted to kind of add, it's great that again, because the students don't need to have a portfolio coming into the program, it will give them the opportunity. So let's say, as we mentioned before, if you want to continue your education, you want to go to a university that requires a portfolio, you can actually build that portfolio when you're in the program. You have a lot to show once you finish the program, which is pretty amazing.
And some people have used the time and gone on. Maybe they're not going on to another institution, but they've used the work that they have created to do a residency. So we actually
Yeah.
have a number of students that have gone on to do artist residencies. So actually, our current senior studio technologist, who is an alumni of our ceramics program, and then we ended up hiring her. She's right now doing a residency in Banff. So
Wow.
she's taken a leave and she's doing that. So which is pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, for sure. Well, we have 3 more minutes. Not to pressure anyone. Um, yeah. Any other questions? For the fiber arts, what type of binder portfolio would hold your work? I'm gonna let
Well,
Erin or Rose answer that.
well, so I mean, the with again, because it's not necessarily, it's going to, for a portfolio, it doesn't necessarily have to be a binder. It can be images as well. So depending upon that's it will be images. Often people are not using just hard sort of paper um, portfolios anymore. So it tends to be more of a digital copy, but then you can have samples, because again, it just depends on what you end up creating. So actually the woman who is teaching the workshop at her open house, she did a a huge felted ear. And I'm talking, it was probably about 3 feet tall. And so that is not something that you are going to be putting into a binder. It's more of an install piece, but you would definitely take images. And one thing that we do have is that we have a designated area that is a documenting room. So we have with lights and photos and backdrops, and that is available to students. They use that for their marketing portfolio class. They use it in VCAD, but in addition, students can use that at any time. They can sign up and go in, and we have tripods that you can sign out. You can, if you don't have a camera or you don't even have a good camera on your phone, we also have cameras. So there's all kinds of opportunities to document your work as a student.
Perfect. And Bronwyn is asking, are there any student resources that might be overlooked that you would want to highlight? And Bronwyn, I think my question is, and feel free to type it out as fast as you can, but are you meaning like student services, like health services or accessible education services, or are you meaning kind of what Erin was outlining, equipment that can be rented out, the maker space, things like that? Maybe if you can specify a little bit, just so that we're going down the right path. And while Rowan's typing that out for clarity, I know, Rose, you were mentioning about how the kits were included in tuition fees. And Aaron, you were mentioning the materials are included in tuition fees. If anybody's curious on our tuition breakdown, you can actually go to the individual program page and click on the tuition number, and it'll show you a breakdown of everything that's included in your tuition. So then you can have a bit of that transparency in terms of how much is going towards materials and everything like that. So then you're prepared if you're looking somewhere else and maybe those materials aren't included in another program. So then you can see how much better off you're prepared from day one by looking at either VCAT or one of our certificate programs.
Perfect. Matt, do you want to take the last question, or would you like me to take over?
So whatever you want to highlight. Honestly, didn't have a specific area I have a question for. Perfect. So Rose and Aaron, maybe you talk about some of the student spaces on campus. Like I'm thinking where student work is displayed, and the food service and things like that. And then we can talk about the relationship with Frost and FSA as well.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. Well, so on campus, we do have, there's the Great Hall, which is in the sort of center of the building, and there is food services available. So students will come in the morning, they can get their coffees, a juice, or a bite to eat in the morning, as well as at lunch. It's not available, Erin, is it after 2 o'clock? I think that
it's
she's
1:30 that it closes.
1:30.
But then there is as well a kettle, microwave, a student fridge as well, where people can put their food.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of brown bag, and then put it in the refrigerator to keep it cool. And then now with the residents, of course, students are just popping home for lunch and then coming back on over. So so that's the Great Hall. That's sort of the cafeteria. There is the what else are the students using? So we have the Mac lab, which is a computer lab, like that's part of our digital course in VCAD, but it's also will be used in the certificates when you do your marketing and portfolio course. And that's what in that course too, you'll be learning to use the camera to document your work in that documentation space. We also have the Red Door store, which is a multi-purpose space. It's got our library, so there's books that you can sign out, and there are
art
some
and craft.
Yeah, and art supplies, although you get the kit, but there's additional things. In VCAD, we're always running out of glue sticks. And then we also have a bit of a little gallery space in there with works by alumni and faculty in that Red Door store. So that's sort of a fun little space to go into. And then, of course, we're connected to Frost through the Student Association. And Zach, who is, once you're here, you'll get to know Zach. He is unbelievably wonderful and multi-talented, and also a VCAD graduate. And he runs the makerspace. He sometimes is seen answering the phone, and he does the student activities as well, and fields questions from students with regards to Student Association. So I know they run different button making activities. I don't know what other activity.
Friday nights
game night.
They've been doing a Mario Kart and We Dance in the Great Hall on Friday nights. So that's been a very popular thing that's been happening. Thanks, yes, on Friday nights after 5:30. Another space that we do have available is Bingdigan, which is our it's in an exterior space in the college, one of our timber frames. There is a beautiful mural from Jared Tate, who is an Indigenous artist, and there are some nice couches. It's a spot to smudge. Any student is welcome if they need just a quiet space to go out to, or a prayer space, or just a meditative space. You can just go to the front desk and ask for the key and go out. So that is also a space that is available to students, and sometimes there's programming from Indigenous Student Services as well, and things are run out of there.
Perfect. And then I'll touch on a few pieces as well. So if you need any kind of accommodations, accessible education services, you're definitely able to access those. You would just have a conversation with one of our counselors and they can set that up for you. That's CAES at flemingcollege.ca, and they can support you with that. If you have an existing accommodation, say through your high school right now, or maybe you had one through high school or other post-secondary education and you want that to continue on, we can support there. Also health services, you're able to access that through our Frost campus and virtually as well, and get support. That way. Career services as well is a really big one. Depending on what your goals are, you actually get career service support for up to 2 years after you graduate. So help with resume building, cover letter writing, everything like that. And a lot of great services from that side, as well as on top of the accessible education side, counseling in general if you need support side. So kind of doubling back on Bronwyn's question from the biggest advice side is you're not alone. There's a lot of support, whether it's the faculty and staff right at Haliburton campus, like Rose and Aaron, or if you need support, you're also connected to a broader network too. But again, yeah, you're not alone by any means.
And I know we're kind of running out of time here, but one of the things that is great, well, there's many things that's great about Fleming Haliburton School of Art and Design, but are the class sizes too. Is that you're never going to be in a lecture hall with 150 students. The classes are very intimate. They're under 20 people, and often, sometimes a little bit more, but you're not going to be in a class with 40 people even. And so you really get to know your faculty. You really get some one-on-one attention, which is fantastic.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, it seems that the questions have slowed, so hopefully that means we've answered everything. And nobody is left wanting or needing more answers. I want to thank everybody for coming out and attending today. And we hope to see you at open house, or if you can't make open house on April 11th from 10 to 1, hopefully see you on campus as a student.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect.
Thank you. Hope to see you at open house. I'll be at the welcome desk.
Excellent.
Awesome. So I guess that's a wrap.